Hey guys, I'm Legendre, and in this video I will be discussing the second game from Ember versus TDK during the Challenger Series playoff. I will be jumping to the first clip right now. The difference between a good and a bad team is actually the way the teams make proactive plays and defensive plays accordingly to their gold lead. So here, Ember did manage to get a gold lead thanks to a good early game and a somewhat strong pressure by Santorin. What I want to point out is the fact that you're just off a reset. So your team comp right now is at the strongest point in every lane. All your lanes are stronger than your opponents. Top lane is stronger, right here. This guy is also stronger, has a level lead, level 6 to 5. Zilean is stronger because he has the full 850 stats up on Lissandra. And this guy is also stronger because this guy has tier and no bonus AD. So there is a play to be made right here. And you have to understand that the fact that this TP right here is down, it's on cooldown. So you want to abuse it. And this is how you could have done. So I'm gonna walk slowly through this, and Kindred does take the mark. It's not a mistake, but then what the mistake is the fact that you actually go for blue buff while there is a play to be made. The play here is to actually slow push this wave, the next wave. If you slow push this wave, what happens is that this gives the possibility for Kindred to actually move in the jungle through her mobility. She can hop through this wall and just place a pink ward in the opponent's jungle. You always want to put your pink wards in the opponent's jungle when you have a big lead like this and you want to abuse it. That's a 1k lead. So that's like off a reset, so you have a good lead. So now, what you should do here is slow push this wave. Why? So that you can use both your TPs, the Nautilus and the Zilean TP, and make a big play onto this tower as soon as both wave, because this wave here would pack up with this wave here if you slow push this one, and this would allow you to force a binary way to play the game for TDK, in which both solutions, both plays they can make, is bad for them. So let me walk you through what should have happened. At some point, you use your TPs, okay? Your wave is going to collide with the tower. And at this point, you know that Lissandra is roaming top. See, like the wave should be hitting this tower later than this. So here, you see her going top. You also have TP, so you can pressure the mid lane. So at this point, you want to threaten. You also know that Gragas is here, because you actually you see a barrel. As you can see here, you see the barrel. So you know that two immobile map-wise character are in the top side. This opens up a play, a 5v3 play for Ember on the bottom lane. And these are two stacked wave, so that's a big deficit. And also this would push the game faster, which is against Ezreal's good way to play the game, which is to slow the game until he has 2 items. So you could force a 5v3, which would comport and be composed of 4 level 6 with 2 game-breaking ultimates and a CC bot who can tank thanks to his items. This guy can prevent the death. This guy too. This guy has damage and also ultimate up. This guy has more CC, more tankiness. So you can actually set up the Zilean bombs and actually make a very, very clean dive, even if it's 5v3. What happens if it's 5v3? You probably zone them off the tower, trade TPs, and you probably get this tower taken, but you get the bottom lane turret, which is a lot more important, because this will actually gives you Baron. Other way, you can't mess up the dive. You have too much damage and too much CC, like Nautilus. Too much CC. This guy has a lot of damage and CC and also revive, so you can't mess up the dive. You basically cannot mess up this dive, and this would give you the game, like such a good lead. And this is like one of the many plays you guys could have done, but I wanted to highlight it and make sure you guys understood that there are opportunities to be seized, and you want to be clutch when seeing them. Also, you want to have a proactive mindset when you have an aggressive jungle, uh, like Kindred, who wants to make plays and abuse her damage in the early game. So this will be it for the first clip, and I'm going to be moving on to the next one. But first, let me recap what I said. What you want to do when you have a lead is make proactive plays with it. You want to push your opponent and not offer them a way out. You want to learn to make aggressive plays with high payoff and low risk, such as the one I proposed during the previous video. You also want to abuse your TP lead. This is the mark of, if not a great team, at least a smart one. You also want to push your lead. Always try to go one step further so that you can understand the limitation during training, and also be able to play optimally during tournaments. Now let's actually go to the next clip. Alright, so in this clip, what I want you guys to spot again is the TPs. Nautilus has gained the shove advantage thanks to his first blood, and has then used this lead to actually like translate his lead to this fight right here. What this means is he can conserve his TP advantage, while Poppy is actually just gonna try to follow his TP. This opens up for plays later on in the game. As you can see, like the TP usage from flares is pretty good here, but through good execution and superior team play, Ember does win this fight, and does so pretty handily, with only losing no one, while they get multiple kills, and also a lot of summoners and a lot of tempo. What this opens up is for the Drake to be taken, and while there was a little mistake done by LOD after this, which kinda messed up the tempo of the game. What I want to focus on is how what should have been played out later on. What you would have wanted to do after this team fight, the way I see things is the fact that you should match the lanes for the top lane and match the lane in the mid lane. I'm actually gonna go back 1 second so that I can have a clearer screen and write on it way better. So here, if you match these two lanes and also these two lanes, what this opens up is for this pressure to go on this side. Like the whole thing here is on this side, so you guys have the pressure, okay? So you have the push advantage. In the middle lane, you actually have like the push, but like there's a lot of wave clear, so you're not gonna gain too much from this, but you can shove in the Lysandra because you just have more items. And in the top lane, you also have a very strong push like this. What you also have is TP, and TP is like such a deadly weapon in the hand of a good strategic team. What you have also is a jungler that's pretty strong, so you actually like have a lot of win. So you see the map, it's just gonna be TDK getting pressured in, okay? So what's gonna happen if all this matches? Then you're gonna be able to use Nautilus to shove the wave in, while Santorin goes aggressively in the side of the jungle in which his dual lane is, because this lane will be pressuring this lane, and therefore very hard, by the way, because this guy offers no wave clear, a little wave clear, but he's pretty weak. He's not spiking at all yet. He will be in like about 10 minutes. The thing I want to point out is the fact that you can actually have a one-man advantage in a skirmish, or a free turret if this guy doesn't match this guy. So your jungler should be on the side of your bottom lane and just invade, pressure the enemy jungle. If a fight erupts, you have this guy TP in and you win the fight because you have so much stuns, so much chase, so much controls here, so much speed up, so much stun. Like you have like a very good chance of actually getting more lead. Also, you probably won't suffer anything on your structure because you can keep the waves shoved like all the way, either here or there. It depends where the poppy is, and by the time the play is over, you can actually like go back to your lane and milk the wave poppy has created and shoved in. Alright, so now I'm just going to be doing a quick recap on using your gold lead and your TP advantage in the mid game, because in the last clip I've been going over this, but now this is the written recap and I want you guys to pay attention. So how do you want to do to abuse the fact that you have the TP advantage and the gold lead to actually like have more impact in the game, leading to a pretty possible victory? So what you want to do is match the solo lanes. You want to make sure your champion with the highest TP impact goes into the lane that has a TP deficit. For example, here it would be matching Nautilus with Poppy. What this does is make sure like you can keep shoving the Poppy in, and also you can have a free TP to actually benefit from a man advantage during a fight you will try to cause. You want to match the dual lanes. So you want to do this because you want to pressure them through your gold lead. So you want to keep them shoved in, and you want to go deep ward with your jungle, your jungler into their jungle on the far side of the map, like the farthest side, opposite side of where the enemy doesn't have TP. So after this, you want to drop wards to enable your TP users, Nautilus for example, and then you want to try to get a fight going on. Any sort of fight will do. Just make sure it's one where you can actually pick up kills and shit. So what this will do, like, and also the fight you want to get is on the far side from the lane you have TP advantage in. What this does is essentially give you a man advantage during the fight you're going to cause. So what this does is either you force a fight, you win it, and you profit from it, then you just recall and you pick up the farm that Poppy has shoved back. Or what this does is your enemies just let you do everything you want and you keep pressuring, and you will eventually like either dive them or simply just have the Poppy leave her tower because the pressure is too big on the other side of the map, and that's her correct move. So now let's go on the last clip. The last clip I want to explore on this video is this one. If you guys remember correctly, this is the fight where you guys can snag third Drake, so it's a pretty big thing. And once again, your Nautilus has used this lead pretty well. He shoved in and he roamed from top to here, so he can conserve the TP advantage, which can open up to very good and smart effective plays due to a man advantage in in the next 5 minutes. So something I want to point out is the fact that Poppy uses her TP, and you guys just ignore you try to stop the Poppy, which is super good, but there's one little mistake. You need to understand how the fight has to be played out for you guys to win. And I want to make sure I can point stuff out. If you watch here, you do have a significant gold lead, like 1.5k, but you want to understand that it does not translate into items yet. you have not shopped, so you have comparable damage and utility here, except this is like, okay, you have a level equal levels here in the top, in the mid lane. So like I would say this is going into TDK's favor because this guy has more AoE CC and also like pretty good damage because it's Lysandra. It's pretty strong at 18 minutes. Another thing is you don't have a level lead here. You do have good items, but most of your damage is actually being it's gonna be soaked up by this because this gives AoE MR. And what I want you guys to understand is you're not spiking. So while you have a gold lead, it's not translated into strength. So like gold isn't always equal to strength. A comp like this one actually had a stronger mid game. Like at this point of the game, the way you take this engagement is you have to be super careful. So what I would advise here is instead of actually taking the fight, you just snag the Drake and use everything to disengage, because this would allow you to make a play when you're actually stronger, when you have spent the gold and like used your revenue and like powered up. When you're ready to fight, then you pick the fight with your TP and your deep wards, which will allow you to flank. But at this point in this game, you probably should not fight, because once again, you don't have such a big lead, and that's level 12, that's level 11. Everything is comparable. This is comparable. This is comparable. Like you have big item components, and here like this is the deciding factor. Despite the fact that this guy doesn't have gauntlet, which would just have lost the fight even more, he does pack a punch because of how Mana Moon works. Like, you know, it stacks his mana and also has CDR boots. So he has actually like a fairly strong point in the game. And as you can see, like you guys know probably, like this fight did not go in your favor. And this is also partly due to the fact that you can't ignore Gragas's barrels. As you can see here, you will see LOD is gonna get chunked by this this barrel, which will lead to him not being able to deal damage in the fight. And once TDK sees this, he just straight up engages ASAP. And there are a lot of good plays here. You also snag the Drake, so I think you should just run away at this point. Doesn't really matter if you lose 1 or 2, just make sure you don't lose more than that. And here LD just cannot participate to this fight once again because of how tanks work. And yeah, so this is something I wanted to point out, is the way you can choose your engagements and make sure you pick the right ones. And finally, we'll be going through a final general recap. The point I want to highlight is that I really want you guys to understand the value of the TP advantage. It can make you very proactive on the map and push your advantage. I also want you guys to understand the power spikes and power values of your comp. Any comp has a set power which fluctuate depending on the levels you reach and the number of players involved in fights, and also the items you have reached. Sometimes, like even though you're behind, you can actually overpower the opposition. Also, some team comps thrive on flanking, so like all this has to be taken into account, and you can like a good coaching staff will actually like give you a very detailed understanding of your comp, which you might not have despite mastering the comp, like the way you have to interact and stuff. The power spikes can all be mathematically written out, and this is what I could do potentially for you guys. Also, I want you guys to understand the same parameters for your opponents, like what are their strong points, should we fight them, like all this can be mathematically written out. The next thing I want you guys to understand is how you win a fight at X point of the game, like what are your winning parameters and all that shit. Also, how the fights have to play out. Do you have to be bulked up, or do you want to spread out and all this? Like, all this has to be understood for every team comp. Also, be in your opponent's head. Make sure you understand what your opponent has to do to stop you from winning the fight if you have a lead, or understand how he can stop you from winning the fight when you're behind, and what can you do to stop this from happening. Like, you want to be one step ahead. Also, always ask your coaching staff for additional info for set comps. As I said before, a lot can be figured out mathematically and written down, and in a very easy way to comprehend. Thank you guys for watching. This was my way to prove my interest for working at Embers, and I hope it pleased you. Thank you for watching.